Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome at this launching event of the NL Energy Compact. Today, over 20 Dutch public and private organizations will commit to making that extra effort to increase action to reach SDG 7. What a unique initiative. So welcome to all of our NL Energy Compact participants, and of course also welcome to all of our viewing audience. My name is Sophie van Hoytema, and it's my honor to be your host today. In a few minutes, we'll be giving the floor to all of our NL Energy Compact participants to hear their story. It's divided into different focus areas. But before we do that, please let me put up some rules, if you like, to make everything go as smoothly as possible. We have some rules, and for example, put yourself on mute if you are not speaking. And if you are speaking, of course, unmute yourself. I think that's the most heard phrase of 2021. Please unmute yourself. Of course, you have an allotted speaking time, so please keep yourself to that, and I will be your timekeeper today. Questions are very welcome today and can be asked via the chat. We do encourage you to have a lively discussion via this chat, so please ask any questions and have this discussion. First of all, let's begin with some opening remarks by Minister for Foreign Trade and Development, Tom de Bruijn, who unfortunately is not able to join us here live in the studio, but he has recorded a message for us. So here he is, Minister Tom de Bruijn.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to attend today's launch of the Netherlands Energy Compact. The high-level dialogue on energy is the first summit on energy by the General Assembly of the United Nations in 40 years. The subject of energy has been too controversial for too long. But today, the world has a clear agenda with a Sustainable Development Goal on energy, SDG 7. And with the climate goal of net zero by 2050. That's why the UN Energy Summit is designed as an action summit. The United Nations will launch a global roadmap for the decade of action on SDG 7 and mobilize new commitments. The UN calls for tripling annual investment in energy access to $60 billion by 2025. That will be a major challenge. Secretary General Guterres asked the Netherlands to be a global champion for energy access. And as global champion, my message at the summit will be that the energy transition can only be successful if we ensure universal access to electricity and clean cooking on our way to climate neutrality. I will stress that we will provide continued finance for the energy transition in low-income countries. And we have been asked to showcase the Dutch commitment through an inspiring energy compact. That's where you come in. As far as I'm concerned, the Netherlands Energy Compact ticks all the right boxes. More than 25 organizations have joined forces to ensure universal access to sustainable energy, leaving no one behind. The fact that we have come together on climate action for the poorest and most marginalized people in the world, in my opinion, sends a very strong message. I will convey this message to the United Nations High-Level Dialogue on Energy, and I look forward to continuing and growing our cooperation in the coming years. Thank you.
And thank you, Minister Tom de Bruijn, for your encouraging words, and it's deeply appreciated. So, of course, we now would like to hear from our participating organizations. But before we're going to do that, I would like to introduce you to our guest here in the studio today, Director for Inclusive Green Growth of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, René van Hel. Welcome.
Sophie, thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor. Inclusive green growth, it's a lot of words, but of course we're having a clear agenda. We're working on eradicating poverty, and we have a focus, as the Minister just said, on low-income countries. And our main themes in the director, my main job is to focus on climate change, fighting climate change, working on access to water, water sanitation, food security, and energy and responsible mining. So that is sort of the focus of my directorate.
Yes, and today you will be listening in to everything that's going to be said, and of course answer some questions.
I'm so glad that we have this meeting, because it shows that there is a lot of enthusiasm and energy for these important issues. Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. So the first thing we are going to focus on today is clean cooking. And when I think about energy poverty, I think about not being able to cook and not having electricity. And I understand that over 2 billion people do not have modern energy for cooking. So what does this mean? What can we, the NL Energy Compact, do about that? And what is our particular strength? So that is what we're going to hear right now. And our first participant that we're going to hear from is Bix Capital. On behalf of Dutch Spark, I gladly give the floor to Jeroen Bloem, Managing Director. Jeroen, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, also a lot of thanks to the kind words of the Minister and Mr. Van Hel. I think that's very encouraging. However, the world is not on track in providing clean cooking fuels, technologies and services to the about 3 billion people that lack such access. This is a particular urgent issue, as people's health is severely threatened by the household air pollution caused by cooking with traditional fuels and stoves. The climate and environment are severely affected, and gender inequalities persist. In order to get on track to its achievement of the SDG 7 by 2030, about 1.2 billion people need to gain access between now and 2025. This implies an unprecedented acceleration. The Dutch Spark for Clean Cooking Solutions is a network of Dutch organizations that joined forces to accelerate the access to clean cooking for everyone, and thus leave no one behind. The joint and individual ambitions of the Dutch Spark and its members fully align with this ambitious NL Energy Compact. The Dutch Spark for Clean Cooking Solutions will contribute to 33 million people being connected by 2030, with a focus on clean and efficient cooking in low and middle income countries, including the poorest and most vulnerable groups. We will work together through a multi-stakeholder approach to incentivize private sector initiatives to deliver universal access to clean cooking and significantly reduce carbon emissions from it. We will continue to develop and share advanced and affordable clean cooking technologies, fuels, business models, and financing solutions. And we will also continue to explore solutions to address the affordability gap for those people who cannot afford the full cost of access to clean cooking at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really time for action. Let's spark. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeroen. Thank you. Let's spark indeed. And our next participant who I will give the floor to is Snv CEO Simon O'Connell. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon. I'm going to give you 3 points as to why this compact is so important to SNV. Firstly, why did SNV join the Netherlands Compact? The short answer is it's urgent. Over 2.5 billion people don't have access to clean cooking. 750,000 don't have access to electricity. So it's absolutely critical that we all step.
Simon, I don't think the connection was really well, so I think we're going to do something about that. I'm looking at the people here, the technique here. Are we going to go on? Yes, we're going to go on. Simon, thank you so much for being here. Maybe we come back to you later. But let's hear from Gert Krielaert at this moment. He is from Fair Climate Fund CEO. Gert, let's give the floor to you.
So, yes, thank you for this opportunity. Almost 4 million people die prematurely every year from household air pollution caused by cooking on open fires, and also climate and the environment are heavily impacted. That's why Fair Climate Fund undersigns the Dutch Energy Compact initiative and is committed to support low and middle income countries in reaching SDG 7 by 2030 and net zero emissions by 2050. And Fair Climate Fund aims to provide at least 1 million people access to clean cooking in low and middle income countries. And by using climate finance from the voluntary carbon market, we want to make this technology also to become affordable for low-income households. Together with private sector partners, we invest in projects that together will reduce more than 2 million tons of CO2 and will improve the lives of people that are most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. And finally, we want to advocate for a fair and inclusive voluntary carbon market where carbon finance really reaches the households that are responsible for reducing carbon emissions by using clean cooking technology.
And thank you, Gert. I believe the connection is now better with Simon. So let's go back to Simon of SNV. Simon, the floor is yours again.
Thank you. I'll try again and hope you can all hear me this time. It's a pleasure to be here. So there are 3 points as to why this compact is so important to SNV. Firstly, why did SNV join the Netherlands Energy Compact? The short answer is because it's urgent. Over 2.5 people globally don't have access currently in cooking, and over 750,000 don't have access to electricity. So it's critical that we all step up. How will SNV contribute? Well, I've just been in Ethiopia. I've seen hugely impactful work that we're doing across all 5 themes within this compact. And where, for example, we've been able to establish over 34,000 biodigesters and spur and harness innovations in clean cooking technologies. So solutions and opportunities exist. We want to highlight these and share our learnings. And then the third point, what potential do we see towards 2030? We see great potential to harness these locally led solutions and innovations which are available and ensure greater inclusivity around their availability. And in doing so, catalyzing blended odor and non-odor financing to take these to greater scale. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Simon. That was a much better connection, I think. Now let's go on to African clean energy. And let's give the floor to Ruben Walker, CEO, founder.
Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. African Clean Energy is a manufacturer and distributor of a hybrid clean energy system that provides the users both with their basic electricity needs and with their clean cooking. We're currently active on the ground in a number of countries. We're in Lesotho, Uganda, Kenya, and also in Cambodia. One of the unique aspects of our product is that it actually integrates with an Android smartphone to take the usage data that we can see from the users, how much impact they are specifically having on things like climate, but also deforestation, on health, the points that my colleagues have raised so far. So we essentially create a virtual grid where we can really see what is happening on the ground. We're very excited about this compact because it also specifically mentions the full spectrum of energy needs, which are electric and thermal, primarily for clean cooking. And we really hope that this movement will generate a lot more interest and allow us to fix these really urgent problems in time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going on to our next speaker, and that's Marius de Waard. He's co-founder of Mimi Moto.
Yes, thank you very much. Happy to be here. First of all, well, I have to say that we really have to act. I'm not very optimistic at the moment what's happening in the market. So we really have to join forces together, the public and the private efforts. Until now, the clean cooking industry is still, in the beginning phase. So really, we need each other to get things done. And the good thing is that, well, we are willing, as Mimimoto, to put our money where our mouth is, and also partner with all the people we need to create a local economy, surrounding, like Ruben already was saying, where people can make money and create an economy. So it will be sustainable solutions. The good thing that with this NL Energy Compact is that most of the partners are already nearby in the Netherlands. And I think, well, let's, put our shoulders beyond it, as we say in the Netherlands, and let's get started. And because it's really, now time to act. Thank you.
Time to act. Of course, thank you very much, Marius. Our last speaker for now is Climate Control Neutral Group, René Toet, CEO of Climate Control Neutral Group.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you that I get the opportunity to present what we are doing as Climate Neutral Group. We were founded in 2002. We're a B Corp, and our main purpose is to get clients to get to net zero. One of the most important instruments to get these clients to net zero is that they're financing projects, climate projects across the globe. And Climate Neutral Group is working closely with many of these climate projects, of which clean cooking solutions is one of the biggest, to provide upfront investment for the production, distribution, as well as the sale of clean cooking solutions, for which up to 50% less fuel is required, and that's very important to mention. These projects make efficient clean cooking more accessible for the poorest part of the population. And last year, we almost placed about 300,000 stoves, clean cooking solutions, and that was distributed by our partners and our relations. And we reached almost 500,000 people with these new clean cooking solutions. As part of the Dutch Park, we contribute to a better, more healthier, and more efficient, cleaner way of cooking. And as Jeroen already mentioned, let's spark, because it's really, really necessary. Thank you.
And thank you, René. And indeed, let's spark. And thank you all of our speakers, for your vision on clean energy. Let's talk about electricity. Let's put our focus on the access to electricity. I cannot imagine living without electricity, and yet still 800 million people, I think, have no access to electricity, especially in Africa. What will we, the Netherlands Energy Compact, will do about that? What challenges will we tackle? That's the question. And our participants to elaborate on that is the Global Off-Grid Lighting Association Executive Director Koen Peters. He will be speaking on behalf of the industry. And Koen, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. And very nice to be here. Yeah, indeed. Of course, cooking is very important, and it's a great challenge to make sure that everybody has access to clean cooking technology. But electricity is just as important, and also there we are less far behind from achieving the goal of universal energy access than with clean cooking, but we're definitely not close to where we need to be. Close to 800 million people that don't have access to electricity today and need to get their light from kerosene lanterns or torches, or power their businesses with diesel generators. I represent the Global Industry Association for Off-Grid Solar, and then we're talking about solar lanterns, solar home systems that can power televisions and radios and fridges, and standalone productive use appliances such as solar water pumps. And we have around 200 members across the planet, and a good dozen of them from the Netherlands, and we're based in the Netherlands ourselves. And the technology that our members provide to customers in developing countries is very well suited to the needs of rural and poor customers that so far haven't received service from good companies or can't afford to be connected to the grid. And as they get access to our technology, this helps them to improve the quality of their lives, make more study hours, live more safely, have opportunities to create more income, and be more resilient in the times of climate disasters such as floods or storms or whatever. So we have the solutions, and in the last 10 years or so that our technology really got traction, we've had good success in demonstrating the success of our business models and our technology. But we're not going fast enough, and we're actually risking stagnation in our markets, as investment in our industry is not growing at all. And why is that? Well, it's because this is not a model that can be pushed by private sector alone. Just as public sector alone didn't succeed in reaching these customers, it's public-private sector, investors, companies, governments, development partners that need to work together. And that's why we find this compact so important. Gokula itself has also presented a compact. We think that if we are aligned among all these stakeholders in the sector, we can reach 1 billion people. That's people that don't have any electricity access today, but also people that suffer from very weak grids, or people that want to use off-grid solutions for productive use, for instance, in the farms. And we are really pleased to work together with all these Dutch stakeholders to give emphasis to the need of working towards those targets and making sure that no one is really left behind. 800 million people know electricity these days. It's a scandal, and we should address it.
Perfectly. This was a good ending of it. Thank you so much. Very important, that last part also. Of course, thank you, Koen. Of course, if you have any questions, please ask them via the chat. And René, if you hear all these speakers, what do you think? Of course, the targets are very ambitious. 45 million people access to clean cooking, 100 million people access to renewable electricity. What do you hear?
What I hear and what's very encouraging is, of course, that people say we have to act, we have to speed up, we have to look in innovative ways to finance these incredible targets. And at the same time, I also think it's very important to keep realizing that this goes about the livelihood of ordinary people. 2.8 billion don't have access to clean cooking. Close to 800 million don't have access to electricity. That has, as you said, an incredible impact on their livelihood and also on their chances to move on in life. If you look at what we are trying to do, of course, with the NL Energy Compact, is to leverage in the Netherlands, but more importantly internationally. And I think that's also what Minister Tom de Bruijn said, that he wants to use this as an example. So because we really feel, I mean, as we are organized in this compact, that we need to put this on the agenda to improve the livelihood of other people, but also to do sound things for the climate, and also to make a little bit of money, because that's also one of the goals, I hope. If you look at the financing that we needed, it's really a lot, especially clean cooking. It was already said by some of the previous speakers. We're now investing close to tens of millions into clean cooking, but we really have to really increase that to $25 billion. Actually, that's $25 billion. So that's really crazy, a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And also access to electricity. That only needs to be doubled, but still, from 20 billion to 35 billion. So these are really vast numbers.
Yes.
So I'm very happy that we have this group of excellent companies, organizations, NGOs that want to jump on the bandwagon. And I think that every contribution, whether it was from Jeroen or Simon or Gert or Ruben or Marius or René or Koen, it all complements the strong message that we have, but also the willingness to invest in it.
And a call for action.
And a call for action, absolutely.
We need to do it right now.
Yes.
Speaking of finance,
yes,
let's focus on finance and investment, because as you said, I can imagine that these goals require a lot. Well, you already said that, finance and support. We have banks, investors, and charitable, that's a difficult word for me, foundations around the table in our midst. So let's listen to them. What is their ambition? What can we expect from them? First up is FMO, Huub Cornelissen. He is Director Energy. Huub.
opportunity. FMO is very pleased to join the NL Energy Compact initiative today. Energy transition has been at the heart of FMO for the last 5 to 10 years, especially to contribute to SDG 7, but also to SDG 13. In that period, we have built up a portfolio of renewable energy assets of about 2 billion euros in about 40 to 50 countries and in more than 150 investments. So that's quite a considerable portfolio which we have built up. We do this together with especially the private sector, but we cannot do that alone. And we have a lot of organizations where we collaborate with, also in the Netherlands. And I'm very happy to see that quite a number of these organizations are joining this initiative today. And we will continue with this collaboration as we have huge ambitions. We have plans to invest 300 to 500 million annually over the coming period until 2030 in order to contribute to the SDG 7 goals. We will also start looking beyond the generation sector, which was our main focus until today. We will go more into off-grid and mini-grids. We will invest in storage assets and in transmission and distribution. The aim for all of this is to enlarge access to energy.
Thank you.
And also
can you make a closing sentence of the last part? Thank you so much. Your time is already up.
I'm in the closing sentence.
Perfect. Thanks.
This is in order to improve access to energy and to improve the grid, because we need huge investments in the grid in many countries to support bringing new renewable energy assets, generation assets to the grid.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Huub. And now I would love to give the floor to IKEA Foundation, and Chief Communications Officer Truus Huisman is here to talk to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate and compliment the Minister and you as his team, of course, for leading the Energy Compact. Together, we can and we must ensure that the switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy goes right. And we can do this. We have the technology, we have the investors. What we now need are good, efficient, aligned funding programs backed by strong political leadership. The Energy Compact is a great example of action-oriented leadership. And we are proud as IKEA Foundation to be part of this compact. As the IKEA Foundation, we have recently announced that we will make available an additional 1 billion euros fund to enable reduction of greenhouse gas emissions fast. And this comes on top of our 200 million euros annual investment portfolio to improve livelihoods on a livable planet. So what we will do with this funding is, for example, to transition out of polluting energy sources to renewables and to make energy access available for the many communities around the world. By leading this accelerated transition to renewable energy, we have the potential to reduce 1 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions whilst improving the livelihoods of 1 billion people in countries that need the most. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Truus. Impressive numbers we've heard there. Let's go on to Doen Foundation. Let's go on to Maarten Derksen. He's the team manager there.
Thank you, René. The Doen Foundation supports pioneers that are committed to a clean, socially inclusive and creative society. Over the last decades, we have seen tremendous impact created by the pioneers we funded. They bring innovation and access to clean energy across India and sub-Saharan Africa. However, the need to go faster and reach more scale is evident. Doen will continue to support pioneers and ecosystem builders that accelerate the transition towards locally adapted, fair, inclusive and sustainable energy systems. And we call upon other funders, foundations, investors and financial institutes to join, to bring speed and scale, but also flexibility, trust, and some appetite for risk. Together, we can push to realize the goals even sooner than 2030.
Thank you, Maarten. Thank you. Let's go on to climate fund managers and let's see Andrew Johnstone, Chief Executive Officer.
Good afternoon. Climate fund managers, with the support of the Dutch government over the last 4 years, has become one of the world's largest implementer of blended finance vehicles for investment for climate investing. Over the next 5 years, we will deploy over $1 billion into areas which are the most underserved and where climate investing can make the most impact. And in pursuit thereof, we expect to develop and build in excess of 10,000 megawatts of power in renewable energy in emerging markets. This energy transition will be continued to be supported over the next decade by climate fund managers through the auspices of the NL Energy Compact and the support of the Dutch government through areas of energy transition, energy use, energy efficiency, and hydrogen transition. And there is no doubt in our minds that the next 5 years is probably the most important 5 years of our futures. During that period, we'll be looking to accelerate, do more, and do it faster. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good motto. We're going to do it more and do it faster. I think we've heard some impressive numbers also. And we also heard the minister say and that we need to triple annual investment in energy access. So, René, that's quite a challenge, I think. And if you listen to the committed parties, do you think we will reach that goal?
We hear impressive numbers, and that's very encouraging. And we have to be super ambitious, but we need to do more. Here we're really organizing ourselves, and I really hope that this will also create a multiplier, because most of the parties that are committed to this compact also work internationally, not only IKEA. So they can also use their networks to promote this subject. For example, at the moment, there's also this discussion going on how to shift finance from fossil fuels to more renewable energy. Perhaps that gives some extra energy to sustainable energy. And of course, we also know that we need to build markets for energy products. People also need to pay a fair price, and that of course calls the question: can everybody do that? According to a World Bank study, there are about over 100 million people who will not be able to pay for that. So somehow also with the World Bank, we probably have to look into some ways of subsidizing those temporarily. But all in all, having the private sector on board, creating markets and working on our multiplier is, I think, the way to go forward.
Perfect. Thanks. And let's go on, because we have a few more focus points, and one of them is displacement and fragile context, because often the poorest and the most vulnerable are the hardest to reach, and this holds especially for refugees and displaced people. How does the humanitarian community take up this challenge? So let's hear from CARE Netherlands. We have Rijntje van Haringen, CEO, and she will be speaking on behalf of Oxfam Novib, Mercy Corps, and DCHI.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. We indeed joined hands with Oxfam Novib and Mercy Corps and with the Dutch Coalition for Humanitarian Innovation, because we do feel that if we jointly commit to this compact, we will be able to achieve a lot more together with the other parties already involved. So our particular focus is on fragile context and displaced people. All of us work on the ground in fragile and humanitarian settings worldwide. And we see that sustainable access to energy is one of the important conditions for survival of people in such context and also for their future development. And because of climate change, conflict, COVID, the amount of people living in fragile contexts will very likely increase, and the duration of their fragility will be extended. And access to energy, particularly in these contexts, is often dealt with on an ad hoc basis, particularly when it's in humanitarian emergency situations. And that then leads to unsustainable solutions, for example, reliance on the use of fossil fuels, but also not thinking through the roles and the rights of important local stakeholders, particularly the role of women. So that is why in joining hands as humanitarian organizations, but also with academia, private sector partners and government, we think we can contribute to this compact in terms of coming up with innovative and sustainable solutions that actually do work for people in fragile contexts, involving them in the design. Work together with private partners, developing the business case for these such innovative and scalable solutions. Then engage with donors and private sector partners to ensure investments in these solutions. Looking at, as the previous speaker mentioned, what is feasible for the type of populations that we are talking about, what can be afforded, what needs to be subsidized. And lastly, also contribute to then the rollout of scalable solutions, where we take into account local conditions, local communities, gender equality, and where we involve local partners in the process of implementation. Thank you.
And thank you, Rijntje van Haringen. Let's go to our next focus area, and that's youth and gender, because both youth and women can be formidable agents of change. And how do we mobilize or empower them to fulfill that potential? That's our next question. And I hope to hear from Maastricht University, Professor Onno van Schaik.
Thank you so much, Sophie. When we are talking about youth and gender, it's important to realize that many million young children and mothers are daily exposed to indoor pollution due to cooking on open fire. Especially in non-notified slums, there is no access to electricity and clean fuels like solar energy, as this is really too expensive for them. As Maastricht University, we have developed, together with the women living in these non-notified illegal slums, a clean cook stove, which is completely compatible with the needs and wishes of these women. And this is very important, as René just emphasized. This clean cook stove is reducing the indoor pollution considerably. Particulate matter, PM2.5, is reduced with 90%. Moreover, the thermal efficiency of these stoves is such that there is a considerable carbon emission reduction to be expected when these stoves are implemented on a large scale. And we will start with implementing these stoves together with Fair Climate Fund in Indian slums in the near future. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Let's now hear from HIVOS. I'm going to introduce you to Eko Matser, Program Manager, Climate Justice.
Thank you very much, Sophie. I'm indeed Eko Matser, Program Manager, Climate Action at HIVOS. On behalf of HIVOS and our CEO, Edwin Huizing, I would like to welcome this Energy Compact. HIVOS agrees to commit and contribute to this compact. In November in Glasgow, the world will gather to discuss how to respond to the climate crisis and how to stay below the 1.5 degrees global warming. It will be key to ensure that this transition will be just and inclusive. This Energy Compact, to provide clean cooking electricity to 145 million people, is one of the building blocks to this just and inclusive transition. For HIVOS, it means to ensure that local voices are heard, that low-income and indigenous communities, youth and women are involved in designing, planning and monitoring. Finance needs to be available to implement these locally led sustainable energy solutions. The energy and climate transition can and should also create local opportunities and jobs. HIVOS specifically commits to invest in job creation for young women and men in the green economy in North Africa. HIVOS will also continue to support local partners to be able to implement and finance their climate and energy solutions. A just climate transition and this Energy Compact can and should build on local people's ideas and involvement and provide jobs and finance for local solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Eko. Let's go on to Energia. I'm going to give the floor to Sheila Obarocha, International Coordinator and Program Manager.
Thank you very much, René. The Energy International Network on Gender and Sustainable Energy
It is unequivocal that there is no justice when almost 4 billion people have no access to energy, and that the majority of these are poor women and youth. We therefore joined the Netherlands Energy Compact to ensure that these groups are not left behind, but experience transformative change as innovators, decision makers, and leaders. We provide the evidence to inform policy of where the gaps are, what works and what doesn't. We advocate and invest in women from developing countries' economic empowerment and leadership. The Netherlands is recognized internationally as a champion for energy access. And thus, Energia sees the big potential of the Compact as a platform to leverage actions from diverse partners and to mobilize significant levels of investments to achieve a just and inclusive energy transition. Thank you.
And thank you, Sheila. A just and inclusive transition. Doesn't it make you proud, René, that these Dutch players really have an eye for the poorest and the most vulnerable people in the world?
Absolutely. And I think also what we're doing here with the Compact is also building bridges between the humanitarian sector, the development sector, and the private sector. I think that's also very important.
Maybe you would like to comment some more on it, or I have 2 questions also for you.
I just wanted to highlight that we're also trying to create a global network of young experts with expertise on renewable energy through the so-called Young Expert Program. So for everybody who is listening in, Google Young Expert Program on energy, because that might be very interesting. And of course, I also like to emphasize what has been said. Stakeholders are women and young people for us, and they're really at the core of our policies.
Yeah, thank you. I have 2 questions here. One question is based on a comment of Marielle. I see, since so many parties are involved in this compact, how do we make sure that to share knowledge and learn from each other?
That's definitely what we're going to do. We should really create a lot of energy amongst each other to get to these goals. And every year there will be stock taking. So we commit ourselves.
That's a good thing to hear. Also, another question is, listening to the commitment by HIVOS, how can the Dutch partners support the establishment and improvement of local companies as part of this compact?
One of the things that my ministry is also doing is promoting the private sector in poorer countries. So we can definitely be partner of HIVOS in that respect.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope that answered your questions. If you have any more, please ask them, because we love questions always.
Absolutely.
René, you love to answer them. So let's hear how the UN, how they look at this initiative we launched today. And let's take a look at the video message from Damilola Ogumbi, Special Representative of the UN Secretary General on Sustainable Energy for All.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be joining you as we demonstrate your ambition for action. First, I want to congratulate each and every one of you that has engaged in the Energy Compact process. You are leading from the front by taking on this comprehensive approach to the Compact. It has been a mammoth effort on your part to bring together so many different agencies, organizations, and experts to put this together and make these robust commitments. I am especially pleased to note the exemplary leadership that the Netherlands has demonstrated throughout the UN high-level dialogue process. It is a clear signal of your intent, and we are much richer for your contribution through the technical working group process and now in this compact process. The upcoming high-level dialogue on energy is just the start. We're excited by the progress of the coming 9 years, of the difficult yet rewarding work we must do together, especially in this underrepresented issues that have faced a decline in progress due to COVID-19. One of these issues is the access to clean cooking solution. This is why your focus on clean cooking, energy access, and international finance support to developing countries in their energy transition is very encouraging, and is also a strong signal to the global community that we must act together towards these common goals. To give us a fighting chance to reach net zero by 2050, we need to focus on ending energy poverty by 2030. This is why specific actions that you have committed to today will be critical in helping accelerate the delivery of long-term goals enshrined in the 2030 Development Agenda and the Paris Agreement. I look forward to not only showcasing your leadership at the upcoming high-level dialogue on September 22nd to 24th, but continuing to work with you over the next 9 years to witness the innovation, to celebrate the successes, and to learn from the challenges as we tackle the global energy transition together in your country and in other parts of the world. Let this be the start of a collaboration that can help us accelerate the global energy access and energy transition pathways. Thank you for your friendship and also your critical leadership in this sector.
Yes, thank you, Damilola. And René, well, we're going a bit to the conclusion of this launching event. So today's partnership looks at the decade of action towards 2030. Yeah. How do you look at the cooperation during these upcoming years?
Yeah, I think it was very nice to listen to the very kind words of the special representative of the UN that we just listened to. And she spoke very kindly, but there was also a little bit of a warning in it because we have a fighting chance to get there. So one of the things that we really want to do is to engage, of course, with our partners, but more importantly, also seek if we can also broaden this scope. Because I think that the ones that we have now organized ourselves, we really have that energy, but we also want to broaden our initiative. So in a way, this compact is a living document. We want to broaden it. And
how do you make it a living document?
By being open and transparent about our results and what we're doing and what we're working on. And I think it's also a very nice example of how perhaps a little bit of a lofty goal of the SDGs in 2030 matches with the Paris goals and what we want to achieve about net zero in 2050. And that's also something that a lot of companies are working on. So that's why we think that we really can broaden this initiative.
Yeah, and how do you look back? Do you look back on this past hour?
Luckily, there's a lot of energy because we only have a fighting chance to get there. And but what is important is that all the stakeholders here have a network. They have money and they have knowledge, and that's what we need. And that's where we're also looking for the multiplier. And just in general, I also think, if you ask me what can companies do that are not necessarily bound to this compact, I think it is so helpful if companies just live up also to the guidelines for international doing business. And one of them is also that we always call on our Dutch companies to pay a decent wage, not just a minimum wage, but a living wage.
Yeah.
Because that helps people getting access to energy, to clean cooking, and to electricity.
Yeah. Well, we have another question, and I'm going to give the floor to Professor Onno van Schaik from the Maastricht University. He has a question for you, I think, René.
All right.
I only wanted to mention that the chat function is disabled, so I wanted to read to you.
So, René, what are you going to do about that? That's the question.
I wanted to reiterate the words of René, that the YEP program is really an excellent program. We had 2 PhD students who were participating in this program, and it really helped them. So it's a great program.
We'll be working on our internal communication, but thanks for the warning and also thanks for the compliment. And you were asking me also, what are we going to do? And of course, what is an important stage now is also on the 24th of this month. Ministers go to the high-level dialogue on energy. We're going to introduce this initiative, and we hope that we will create this multiplier effect with this initiative.
Well, I wish you lots of luck, everybody, with that, and because of course it's time for action.
Yes.
It's time also to close this launching event, and I want to thank you all for participating today and for this very rich exchange. And thank you all for watching, everybody. Of course, there's a lot of inspiration, I think, for the minister to take with him to New York to the high-level dialogue on energy on the 24th of September. Of course, it's a pity we couldn't meet in person, but I understand René, that the ministry will be organizing a social event, possibly also with the Damilola in person, later this year. So that's something we can all really look forward to. Once again, thank you for joining today. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you very much. Let's keep making this world a little or a lot better energy-wise. Thank you all.